worse, lied. Joining me now to continue the conversation, former Deputy Assistant Attorney General John Yoo and former FBI Assistant Director, a man who knows James Comey pretty well, Chris Swecker. John, I think the question, and really perhaps the only question that matters in this entire episode, is whether or not that video, which we just heard of James Comey before Congress, before the Senate, was a lie. Was it perjury?
I think that the Justice Department has the grounds to charge Comey. You have right there under oath, under questioning by a senator, a difference between Comey and his deputy. I believe it's Andrew McCabe is on the other side of this conversation as to whether Comey authorized McCabe to leak law enforcement information to the press. Now, I think this is the approach that the Justice Department takes to other high-profile criminals. Sometimes you can't get them for the things they really did, so you get them for violations. For example, Al Capone was prosecuted not for mafia activities, but for tax evasion. Here, Jim Comey, I think, turned out to be one of the most politicized directors of the FBI in its history. You may recall what he did in the lead up to the 2016 elections. And then the worst, I think, what you went through in your timeline, trying to entrap President Trump into an obstruction of justice charge, which led to the whole Mueller investigation over the Russia hoax, which was disproven by the Mueller investigation. And so I think what the Justice Department doing is going after Comey for this one charge, which you could see on the tape. I think that's a plausible case to bring into court. It will be up to the jury to decide whether this he said, she said case and the evidence is enough to convict Comey. But I think the reason why the department is targeting him is because of his politicization of the FBI in the years beforehand.
I think it's fair to look into the motivations and the reason, but I do think what's more important is he has been simply met with a charge, met with an indictment, and the question is directly whether or not he is guilty. Now, somebody is guilty, Chris. That much is clear. It's either Andrew McCabe or it's Jim Comey. One of the two did not tell the truth to Congress.
Yeah, well, what you said at the beginning is all true. Jim Comey, nobody's been more critical of him than I. I know how the Bureau is supposed to operate. I know how the justice system is supposed to operate. And the problem with this case is what John just outlined. Andy McCabe denied 3 times that he even leaked. Then finally they caught him in a lie, and he said, well, Jim Comey authorized this leak. The problem is you got a full Inspector General report, a very credible Inspector General who says the overwhelming evidence is that McCabe lied, and he was the liar in this case. So I think, you can bring an indictment in this case, and I think this indictment is really the tip of the iceberg. I think there's a lot more substantive violations that you could pull together, but this one is kind of a roll of the dice. It's a 50-50. I think the indictment is more important here than the conviction, because his own Inspector General, Trump was president at the time, declined to prosecute McCabe, but said there was overwhelming evidence that he was the one that lied.
I hear what both of you gentlemen are saying, and I'm not suggesting that I speak for the American public, but I can just speak for one man who was very much tired of the idea that people can testify in front of Congress, lie, and there's virtually nothing that we can do about that accountability, because congressional testimony is our version of accountability. It's how we get to the truth and how we hold public officials to account to all of us. And to see someone, whether or not be Anthony Fauci or Jim Comey or Andrew McCabe, lie to the people with no accountability is simply tiresome. And if this is all that there is, if there is nothing more with Jim Comey, well, then so be it. But there has to be an accountability for the multitude of lies. If it's Jim Comey, great. If it's Andrew McCabe, great. If it's Anthony Fauci testifying before Rand Paul, great. But at some point, we simply have to expect, demand, and hold accountable these people for the truth. I hear you both. There may be stronger cases. John, there must be much greater sins when it comes to Jim Comey. But as far as I'm concerned, the truth is a damn good place to start. And I appreciate both of your perspective today. Thank you so much.